So before we start, I just want to preface this video by saying I hope that everybody watching had a great holiday season and a great 2022, and I wanted to wish you all a happy new year. 2022 has been a great year for me personally, and I hope it was great for you too. 2023 is a really exciting looking year right now. We got a lot to look forward to. So let's begin this year by talking about the upcoming Flash movie.
Tell me, did you subscribe? You will. And you'd better not forget to hit that like button as well. This video is not sponsored by Wayne Enterprises or LexCorp, so check out the Patreon link in the description below and consider making a monthly pledge. Men are still good.
Now, there's been a lot of kind of updates with this movie that I haven't been covering because I've been kind of, I guess, disinterested. This film has been bent and twisted to fit the shape of the DC universe going forward. There is no way this can be director Andy Muschietti's original vision for what this was going to be. This is a film that's been tampered with cameos being included left and right that have then been taken out. There was word of, Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, all making cameos in the film, and now they're not. Elephant in the room, the film's star, Ezra Miller, seems to be going on a crime spree. So we'll have to see how distracting that is in the final product. The film has been delayed back and forth, and now it looks to be a bit of a lame duck, as the film was supposed to reshape the DC universe into its new form, which most definitely is not going ahead, with James Gunn seemingly rebooting the entire thing from movie one. Now, if you've watched any of my videos so far, you'll know I've been kind of resistant to this movie and everything that we've kind of understood about this film. The reason being that this film looked to be erasing a lot of DC Universe history, particularly the works of Zack Snyder, who I'm a huge fan of. And even though I've really enjoyed films like Shazam, The Suicide Squad, the Peacemaker series, heck, I enjoyed Birds of Prey for what it's worth in spite of my doubts, I was one of the folks that was vocally on the hashtag Restore the Snyderverse campaign. For one, I wanted to see where Zack Snyder's plan was actually going. I really enjoyed the Snyder Cut, literally one of my favorite movies ever. But not only that, I felt very strange about what they were rebooting the DC universe into, seemingly. Entering a universe where there isn't really a Superman, Supergirl is taking the place of the main Superman, and we get Michael Keaton's Batman replacing Ben Affleck, who is mentoring Batgirl to be the new Batman. Now, this is the thing, I wasn't really on board with this. I felt like this plan was writing out Superman and Batman as major players in this universe way too early, and you can't just replace them with Batgirl and Supergirl, not because of some anti-SJW bull, because I don't subscribe to that, purely because you can't just swap a character out for another character and expect them to play the same role. And as the core DC universe, I feel like having it fronted by Batgirl and Supergirl is something that should happen far later down the line. And it's the idea that, yeah, we got a Batman in this universe, but he's elderly, playing more of a Nick Fury style role. No, I want him to play more of a Batman kind of role. I want him to be the field guy. I do not want to jump to things like The Next Generation or Batman Beyond or anything like that when we haven't really had time with the core Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. Because what you end up with feels like the Sidekicks cinematic universe. This, however, is definitely no longer happening, because Henry Cavill was coming back full-time as Superman, and it's teased in Black Adam until he wasn't, regardless. Cavill Superman fans, we can't catch a break. But it does seem that the whole DC universe is being rebooted. At least I would hope so. We know this because we're getting a new Superman movie penned by James Gunn, which will not feature Henry Cavill as Superman. It's going to be a complete reboot, focusing on a younger Superman with a younger actor in the role. Now, I'm going to say this, with Henry Cavill gone, I really hope it's going to be a full reboot, because if there's any actor you keep around from the original, I would personally say Henry Cavill's it. And if it is a full reboot, I can at least just get excited about the creative possibilities. The idea that we're getting a fresh start. We can do cool new things with this if it is a full reboot. But the truth is, while I'm bummed out about Henry Cavill being recast, I am at least at peace knowing that, and James Gunn has said this on Twitter, it all comes straight from the horse's mouth, Batman was going to play a major role in his DC universe going forward. Superman, it seems to be movie 1 and will be treated as a priority, so at least I know the focus is in the right place with James Gunn's universe. I can take peace in the fact that after the Flash movie, we're not entering the Sidekick cinematic universe. We are getting the core Batman and Superman. Good, I can relax a little bit. Even though it's not Henry Cavill like I hoped, even though it's not Ben Affleck like, I mean, it was unlikely, but like I'd hoped, I can at least take solace in knowing that these characters are still going to be here. I mean, I was less agitated about Batman as I was with Superman because we've got the Robert Pattinson movies and they're really fantastic, even though I'd still like to see a Batman crossover with the rest of the DC universe. We do at least have those Pattinson movies, and that first one was freaking stellar, so it's like, okay. Now, what this means for The Flash is that ultimately it's going to be a little inconsequential. Whatever kind of DC universe it's about to reboot into is never gonna actually fly. Now, this could be the cause of a great deal of frustration, because it could be that we see in the third act this new universe, and in spite of all doubt, we're all blown away by it. It could be fantastic. It could be like what happened with Zack Snyder's Justice League, where we got like a little taste of what Snyder would have given us, and it was like, god damn it, restore the Snyderverse. Maybe after all this, we'll be like, restore the Flashverse. I doubt it, but maybe. So I think the best course they can possibly take, and I think this would have to involve a lot of clever editing, maybe a few reshoots, is to make this movie just a self-contained exploration of DC's multiverse. No setup for the future necessarily, but an exploration of DC's multiverse as it currently stands. A celebration of the DC extended universe and DC film history, which would absolutely go beyond the DC extended universe because we're getting Michael Keaton back as Batman in a pretty major role, it seems. At least I'd hope so, given all the hype surrounding that aspect of the film. So given that we're doing all this multiversal stuff, this could be a good means of getting closure with the DC universe as it stands. Everything that's come before, we get closure with that. We usher in the Gunn universe. The problem is, this is not the final DC extended universe film that's coming out. So it can't necessarily be closure, it can't necessarily be a finale. Now, following this, we have Blue Beetle. Now, to be fair, Blue Beetle could just be treated as a completely self-contained movie. There are rumblings that maybe this will be movie 1 of Gunn's universe, but I find it weird to, like, bring on James Gunn, say, hey, you're rebooting this universe, but movie 1 is one that you didn't plan and isn't in your vision or anything like that. Kind of a weird way of handling it. Blue Beetle could absolutely work as just, it's a Blue Beetle movie. That's just his movie. It's not contributing to the greater universe. The greater universe doesn't factor in. That's just his movie. But then we have Aquaman, and that appears to be, if not Blue Beetle, the final film of the DC extended universe. Not the one with the multiversal shenanigans which could bring the end of this universe. No, an Aquaman movie to serve as the finale. Okay, right, alright. I feel like before James Gunn hard reboots everything, I think it would have been better for us to have had a finale movie. Like just something in the oven, a chance to get Henry Cavill back as Superman, a chance to bid farewell to Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Ben Affleck as Batman. Just get the whole squad back together, make a Justice League 2 that closes the book so that we don't end on a freaking Aquaman movie, which is no way going to have like multiverse ending consequences. At least I doubt it. Or, you know, a Man of Steel 2, so you can, you know, close the book where we began it with another Man of Steel, effectively. But I feel like The Flash would have been a sensible place to kind of cut it there. And that's not me saying, oh, cancel Aquaman, and for Pete's sake, that's not me saying delay The Flash even more. Don't give Ezra Miller more time to decimate this film's publicity even further. But okay, we've had some new images doing the rounds, and, you know, I've displayed a few of them on screen, and yeah, it all looks to be in a very different aesthetic to like what's come before for Ezra Miller's Flash, what we got with Snyder's work, which was admittedly expected. And we've got this new image here with like the main lineup of this film. I find it crazy that the Flash solo movie, the very first cinematic Flash film, is being led by a team that includes 2 Flashes, Batman and Supergirl. Can you even call it a Flash solo movie at this point? It almost kind of feels like Justice League Light with the weirdest Justice League lineup we've ever seen. So yeah, this image here has been hovering around on Twitter. It's very low quality, appears to be some form of leak. There are some people saying it's fake, but there's no sources for that. Like, no one has provided any kind of source to show that this is a fake. And if it is a fake, it's very convincing. If it's a fake, if anyone can get me the name of the person that made it, and then we can give him credit, that would be great. But right now, either way, this is how these characters are going to look. We've had a merchandise image that has revealed like the second Flash's costume being like this cannibalized bat suit. This is a match. This is how these characters are going to look, whether it's real or fake. But for now, given that there's no sources saying that it's actually fake, I'm going to treat it as if it is real for now. Legitimate until proven fake. And where to even begin? I guess it is cool to see a lineup shot, and it's definitely cool to see Michael Keaton's Batman among other DC superheroes. That is something I do think is really cool. It looks like this is going to be a wacky movie. Like, this is going to be a crazy time at the movies. And for that reason, I'm kind of looking forward to it. But let's take a closer look at the costumes using some other images as well. Let's start off with the Earth Prime Flash, or at least what I think is the Earth Prime Flash, what seems to be the Earth Prime Flash in his brand new suit, which is completely different to the suit that he wore before. I think, like, in universe, that's just a preliminary thing that he made himself. In universe, like, according to, like, a prequel comic as well, it's Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne, that gives him the Flash ring, which gives him this suit. So Batman, in any universe, has quite an influence over this version of Barry Allen. Now, given that this was revealed in a prequel comic, a comic that's advertised as kind of before the movie, get up to speed with Barry Allen's heroic journey, it leads me to believe that we won't actually see him get the Flash ring in the movie. Like, we'll see that he has the ring, but we won't see how he gets it or where he gets it. It'll be kind of a time jump, a flash forward, if you will. And okay, yeah, jump straight into the film. I do, think it's very Bat-centric, but it's very similar to kind of what we had with Spider-Man and Iron Man. Of course, Spider-Man would make his own costume, which would be the Spider-Man costume later down the line. But, we don't really have time to do that level of development with this version of The Flash, it seems, because everything's rebooting. So yeah, the first suit that he had in Zack Snyder's Justice League was his homemade suit. Very different visual language there. It's more of an armor, and it's kind of grounded in, realism to an extent, in that, it's held together by these threads, and it's made of these, armors that are found in, space suits, which makes it resistant to, Barry's speed, electricity, and the atmospheric stuff that happens when he goes really fast. I'm not a science guy. I don't know the exact name of it, but, it can withstand things that ordinary clothes can't, and, the fact that it's an armor, here's the thing, I'm not massively on board with the Flash wearing armor, because I tend to think the Flash's suit should be aerodynamic and flexible. At the same time, as far as an armor goes, this did look pretty aerodynamic and flexible, and it does make sense that he would have a form of armor, because he's not bulletproof. He can dodge bullets, he can go faster than a bullet, but if, Superman wants to punch him or something, it probably makes sense for him to have armor. However, going into the new film, we're deviating away from that and going for something that's supposed to be a little bit more classic. And I know that people are going to bring up the whole thing of, I don't like superheroes having to earn their costumes, I don't like that trope. And I wouldn't either, but I, to be honest, don't really think it exists. As far as I'm concerned, his Justice League suit was just, a translation of the classic Flash suit put to live action. And this one is the same thing, just done in a different way. It's like people say, oh, Spider-Man earned his suit in Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's not like the Homecoming suit or any of the suits before that were like a massive departure from the comic book looks, let's be real. So I really don't think this is a case of that. But let's talk about the new suit and how they've chosen to do it. So what they've done here is they've gone away from the armor, but they've given us quite a bulky, very rubbery looking suit. And I think it's supposed to look skin tight because you can see Barry's musculature underneath, which, by the way, Ezra Miller is not that yoked, all right? That there is like a Batfleck body, and Ezra Miller doesn't have that. And they don't need that, the Flash just needs to look athletic. The Flash doesn't need to be like a brick powerhouse or anything like that. So already I think this looks a little too bulky. It's definitely bulkier than what we had in the Snyder Cut. And also quite significantly bulkier than any of the Flash's suits in the CW series. Another thing they've done, which is something I really don't like, it's a trend we've seen kind of forming throughout the DC Extended Universe recently, which was also a trend in the 90s and 80s. For some reason it's made a comeback, is is these glorified rubber muscles, where it's like the material of the costume sinks into the actor's every muscle. Every ripple around the six-pack can be seen, and that just never looks real to me. Because if you take a muscular person and put them in a suit, you can't see every ripple of their muscles because fabric kind of stretches over that, or whatever material they're wearing stretches over that. You can still identify a person's build, but like I don't like the rubber muscles thing, and it's been happening a lot more recently. We've seen it quite a bit in the Aquaman sequel. We saw it creeping its way in on the Superman costume, particularly in Justice League. It just doesn't look good in my opinion. It just looks fake. It's like, why would you wear a fake muscle pack if you're a superhero? Why would you need that? You know, it doesn't look real. But another thing I'm really not fond of is the rubbery texture. I feel like the Flash should be more of like a spandex jumpsuit kind of deal. This looks very latexy, very wet, very slippery, and to be fair, we do need to see it in the movie with the lighting setup of the movie, because it's going to react differently to the lights in the movie to what it is in the lights on like a display or something. But even in the posters, I'm not inspired by much confidence. I know this is more of a New 52 kind of thing, but I'm not fond of all the lines going around the suit. I don't mind that if it's like he's powered up and you see every crease and every line in his costume kind of light up. That's kind of cool. But like I kind of don't like how many of them there are here. I think I like it much cleaner than this. But perhaps the worst part of all is the cowl. I don't really get this. I feel like the Flash's cowl as a design has been perfected over the years. The entire shape of this thing is just so weird. It almost kind of looks like a bicycle helmet. It creates this very bulgy looking profile. But like, what's with the shape of the mouth cutout as well? Why is it so corner-y? Like, I don't really get the process behind this. Is it supposed to look alien? This doesn't look like Wayne Tech or something that Bruce Wayne made, no matter who he made it for. It doesn't look like a Bruce Wayne design. And even if it is faithful to the comics, I don't really like how they've translated it here. And maybe that will change when I actually see the movie, but right now I'm not a fan at all. Like, yeah, I would say I do prefer the suit that he had in Justice League. I just think it looked nicer. The cowl was a nicer shape. Everything seemed to fit him better. He looked a lot more lean in the suit. Even if I fundamentally disagree with the idea of the Flash wearing armor, I don't think this heavy rubber suit is any better. And yes, I absolutely prefer the way the CW is doing it right now. I think in the recent seasons, they've got that suit perfected. It looks athletic without looking fetishy. It looks functional. Like, I see people say, oh, the suit looks way too cheap and such, but it's like, that is just how the Flash suit would look. I never understood the mentality that because it's a movie, the costumes need to look expensive, because if the suit in universe wouldn't look that expensive, then like, you know, like, what's the big deal? Like, I'm pretty sure that if they made a movie based on SpaceX, people would be saying, oh, the spacesuits look too cheap, when that is just how they look. And that's just how it would look, you know? The Flash's current CW suit is just how the Flash would look, in my opinion. And I could give a rat's ass if it looks cheap or expensive. Literally, one of the stupidest criticisms I've ever heard. Then we have the suit of the second Barry. Presumably, he doesn't have his own suit yet, so his suit is going to be a cannibalized bat suit. And I'm sorry, I know the context is going to be different in the movie, but when I look at this, I see a defaced bat suit, a defaced antique Batman Returns batsuit that has Ezra Miller put in it. So this batsuit will not be used to enact justice. It will be used to lob deck chairs at karaoke goers. Imagine, like, the Batman Arkham fights where you go into those brawls, except rather than fighting against inmates, you're fighting against people at a karaoke night at a Polynesian resort. Oh my god, please make that a DLC and make this a DLC costume. I beg you, Rocksteady. That would be hilarious. Is it too late for new Arkham Knight DLC? Come on, like, surely not. Come on. So it is so weird to me that people don't tend to think of the Flash suit as something that would be like aerodynamic or sporty or something. Like, I remember when like the Flash CW series first aired, he was wearing like a firefighter's kind of suit, and it was kind of baggy and looked very hot. Like the kind of thing you'd take off after 3 seconds of running and it would just be full of sweat. And it's like, okay, the Flash is someone who needs to run fast. He needs to be agile and stuff. So what do? You put him in a heavy rubber suit where you can't even turn your neck. Okay. Alright. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, like, in universe, maybe it's a little different, but, like, the thing is, in universe, the Keaton Batman was all about theatrics. Like, Practicality, agility, that was never really a huge part of it. And this isn't like his upgraded suit. This is his Batman Returns suit right here. So even if they say like in universe he can now move his neck and it's fine, this is far from a practical suit for a superhero that's all about running. I think before accepting this from Bruce Wayne, I'd be like, I might go to Party City and see if I can get like a morph suit or something. Practicality be damned when it comes to the poor Flash. Like, I only recently feel like they got it right with the CW. That's how the Flash suit should look, in my opinion. And it's just like, yeah. But okay, like, from the perspective of it kind of being its own little work of art in its own right, I don't know, like, this is definitely worse than the other Flash suit in a lot of ways. That neck looks incredibly chody, and I don't like the little cut-off ears at the top at all. At the same time, it's like, hey, it's a mashup between Batman and the Flash. It's Bat Flash, you know? And that's kind of stupid, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, it's kind of cool, you know? Why did they not spray the oval on the Bat emblem white? It's weird. There are elements of this that I like, and all of it is forgiven for the fact that this simply isn't the main Flash. Like, if this were the main Flash suit, I would be lambasting this all afternoon. But as it stands, it's kind of just a neat gimmick, I guess. It doesn't make any sense practically, but like, it's just kind of a neat little gimmick kind of thing they got going on here. I actually quite like the belt, how it's got kind of like a police tapey look. Listen, I'm a sucker for like sort of homemade superhero suits and stuff like that. This is kind of a weird halfway point between like the, you know, the Keaton suit and the Flash. But like, you know, there's a charm to it, you know? It looks really stupid, but it's clearly supposed to. It's by design. And that's just kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. Then we have Supergirl, who's not a returning character in any form. Sasha Calle, completely fresh face to the DC universe. Stunning, by the way. And what's interesting here is, like, if reports are to be believed, she is playing Kara Danvers. This is the Kara Danvers version of Supergirl. Yet, she's taken on the design of Lara Kent from the Injustice timeline. I think in some ways it's kind of smart making her look like she's a bit more related to Superman himself. So giving her dark hair rather than having like the blonde look, which was clearly done back in the day because they just wanted Supergirl to be a babe and like blonde hair was considered like the ultimate. Oh my god, I'm getting a little flustered by that. Here the whole design is made to feel a bit more in line with, you know, Superman. And I think she looks great. And I have to say, I think this costume looks really great too. And there is clear Man of Steel influence going on here. You've got the scriptures going throughout the blue patterns. You've got the crests resembling the Man of Steel logo to quite an extent. You've got the lining going sort of down the legs and everything. Like, this is definitely like a Man of Steel universe's take on the Lara Kent Supergirl costume. And I really like the red around the cape and everything, but I also just really like the profile this cuts out. She looks like a Supergirl that kind of means business, you know? I feel like this design tells us more about like Supergirl as a character, more about her heritage, and is less about her looking like, you know, the superhero babe fantasy. That's not to say she doesn't look pretty, she looks stunning, but like the priorities were more on the character. And again, that's not even like a massive critique of the old Supergirl design. I can see fully why they do go down that route. Like, superheroes are supposed to look like sort of ideal humans in a way. Oh boy, we're going down a tangent, aren't we? Supergirl is really good, okay? She's like Superman's ideal of hope, but in like girl form, and shut up! Keaton's Batman. Yes, Keaton's Batman has a new suit, which we've actually seen before. So even if this image is fake, the suit's verified. The suit's legit. We've seen an image of this suit, which was originally taken for the Batgirl movie. We've seen set photos from the Batgirl movie, which feature this suit here. Hallmark also released a small series of Flash movie Christmas ornaments, one of which being Keaton's Batman, which I own, which is wearing this suit here. So I can verify that this is the legit Batman design that they're going for. Now, I'm very glad that for Keaton's Batman, they've left the rubber muscles in 1989. I felt like, you know, a lot of people immediately associate the 1989 costume with Keaton's Batman. I always preferred the return suit, and this is more in line with the return suit, even though it is still an evolution of that. This is more of a flexible armor. I'm guessing he can turn his head now, I would hope. It's a little shinier. The belt is much darker, appearing to be either bronze or black, and I must admit I did prefer the shade of the other belt, but okay. Man, it is so good to see that classic oval Batman Superman logo back again. That makes me really happy. Yeah, this is very much in spirit of the classic Keaton Batsuits. It's all black, you know, like it's got the same overall look. Less eagle-eyed viewers could easily mistake it for like the previous Batsuits in the Michael Keaton Batverse. But I've warmed up to this a great deal. I think it's a really strong modernization of the Michael Keaton Batsuits. Maybe it's my favorite, maybe the Returns one is my favorite, we'll have to see. But also, how good does Keaton look in this suit, striking his action pose and everything? So I am kind of pleased to see that this suit isn't just going to be, you know, wasted on a Batgirl movie that got cancelled. It will be in the Flash movie as well. Also, if it's cool, while we're talking about costumes, I just want to make a quick detour. We've got new images from the Batgirl movie, which isn't happening. But we can see that she was going to have an evolution of her costume later in the film, presumably in the third act. We'd already seen her preliminary costume, which was kind of like a Batgirl of Burnside kind of look. Very homemade, sort of purple leather jacket, going definitely for the purple and yellow color scheme, which I think fits a teenage Batgirl. I don't think it fits an adult Batgirl, personally. Because, like, when I see yellow and purple, and I see it that bright, I kind of think Little Girl's Bicycle. But at the same time, it's like you could mute it, you know, like, and I know people hate muting, but it's like, you know, I'd go see movies for more than just pretty colors, you know. But that's just my opinion on that. Let's look at the final suit. Freshly revealed, here it is. Sadly, right now, for the time being, we don't have any better pictures than Leslie Grace eating some Scottish fish dish here. And we don't have an image of it under, like, the movie's lighting or the sheen of the screen or how they probably intended for this suit to look. This is all we have to work with right now. And what we have here is less of a homemade deal, less of the Batgirl of Burnside kind of look, and a bit more akin to her costume from like the 1960s Adam West Batman TV series. Once again, we've got the purple and yellow color scheme, and again, we'd have to judge that through the lighting of the movie, the sheen of the screen, as Boba Talks would say, but at the same time, like, yeah, I think it's a little too bright of a color scheme for an adult to be running around in. I don't know, I look at this and I think Little Girl's Bicycle, you know? I like that it looks quite lightweight, though. It looks pretty agile. It looks like there's a good sense of mobility. I like that it's not overly shiny. That's something I appreciate. I think the line work going on here is pretty nice. Okay, there's no easy way of saying this. I think the boob armor looks a little strange. Like, they've given her this sort of armor that accentuates her chest. I'm so sorry, Leslie Grace. I feel so weird talking about it like this, but, like, I think it's a little weird how they've opted to accentuate that to that extent. I also feel like the cowl could use a bit of a chin strap. I know that's less comic accurate and everything, but I think these cowls look better with chin straps generally, or at least something going on around the neck, you know, because right now it just looks like kind of a helmet that's just been plonked on there. And look at the legs. It looks like we got kind of that jigsaw thing going on that we had on, like, the Nolan Batsuit's legs, where it's like, not sure what to do with the armor, so we'll just put in separations everywhere. Look, I don't think this is a bad suit. I think, you know, it looks perfectly fine. I think it's nice by, like, the general, like, Hollywood movie standards. It's very faithful to Batgirl's classic look, which I do appreciate. I just think maybe black and, like, a very muted yellow would be maybe more the way to go, personally. Or maybe, like, a much darker, more muted purple. I don't know. Alright, costume analysis done. Like, I know you guys like costume analyses, like, you know, my top 10 Flash suits and stuff, videos like that tend to get quite a decent amount of views, and I love making them. So, like, that was fun. My overall feelings towards this Flash movie, I guess, now that I have closure, now that I know that the Snyderverse is never getting restored, and now that I know that the universe we will be getting out of this will be one with a Batman and a Superman, and they'll be playing major roles, and they won't just be retired or hanging off in the background, my mind's kind of at ease. I feel like I can just enjoy the movie for what it's worth. Like, you know, like, it's really hard to root for Warner Brothers Discovery with, like, how anti-creator they've been, you know? But hey, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. I guess I'm just looking forward to, like, this wacky multiversal adventure in the DC universe. It's not something we've really seen before on the big screen. We've kind of seen it in the CW, but that is what it is. You either like the CW or you don't, and I personally, outside of Superman and Lois, really don't like the CW's DC Universe. I just don't vibe with it, it's not for me. But there is a lot that I'm looking forward to, and I recognize that these things are mainly just like novelties in a way. Like, I'm not gonna do the film student things. Like, I'm looking forward to like the character dynamics and the plot. I can't wait to cry and stuff. Like, this film is not being advertised based on any of that right now. It's all about what characters we brought back and what characters we're bringing in, and I guess I'm just looking forward to it from that. You could accuse me of being soups here. I'm not gonna hold it against the movie if it doesn't have a huge amount of cameos. And some cameos that appear to have been cut are the cameos of Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill. From my understanding, this was going to be a part of the after credits, but these have now been cut because they don't want to kind of advertise a DC universe that isn't going to be happening. Bit late for that after Black Adam, guys, sorry. But like, yeah, it does seem that Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot did shoot scenes for this movie that are not going to be in this movie. It's going to be crazy to see how much of this ends up on the cutting room floor. I would not want to be Andy Muschietti, unless like he signed on knowing that this film was going to get like fiddled and bodged to match the later DC universe. Like, it's going to be very hard to call this like the film he'd intended to make otherwise. If you're looking forward to Ben Affleck's Batman, though, fret not, he will likely still play a fairly sizable role, at least like in the film's first act, I expect. I think if this film can avoid putting its focus on setting things up for the future, then we should have a pretty fun romp on our hands and a celebration of the DC Extended Universe's past. But now for like what I'm most excited about, and this could potentially contain spoilers. I'm talking about rumors here, nothing confirmed, but if you just want to go in completely blind and don't want to risk it, maybe don't watch this segment. But okay, so the film's main villain, according to rumors, is General Zod, with Michael Shannon reprising his role as General Zod. And I would really be looking forward to that, because in a way it almost feels like the closest thing we're going to get to kind of a Man of Steel 2, just without the Man of Steel himself. You know, and I loved Man of Steel, and I loved Michael Shannon's General Zod. I still think he's one of the best of the DC Extended Universe villains, so I really hope the rumors are true. At the same time, it would be really funny that in the first Flash Solo movie, the main villain is General Zod. I don't think anything's been confirmed there, though, so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. So on a whole, there's a lot of this movie where I'm just like, oh god, what are you doing, you know? And like, it's gonna be a very interesting experience, particularly with Ezra Miller decimating the goodwill of this movie. But at the same time, I'm kind of excited for it. I'm kind of eager to see where this is going, all right? And now that, you know, I've got closure with the Snyderverse, it's definitely not happening. And yes, I'm bummed out about that. I feel like I can finally move on and just watch this movie for what it is. I'm not concerned about erasure or anything like that. I'm not concerned about a future without a Batman and a Superman. I can just enjoy this movie for whatever it is. And it could be an absolute train wreck. It could be a film that sets up a whole bunch of nothing. You know, like, it could go either way, but at the same time, it's going to be just a wacky adventure. And, yeah, I'm excited for it purely from an entertainment standpoint. And, you know, what better reason is there to see a movie? Holy crap, you know, like, I'm bummed out about losing Henry Cavill. I'm bummed out about no Snyderverse. At the same time, I feel like I can just enjoy what we have now, knowing that, you know, it's never gonna happen. You win some, you lose some, hey? But at least we got 3 of the best goddamn comic book movies ever made. Man of Steel, Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, some of the best, and I'm always going to be grateful for those. And we're always going to have those movies. I'm always going to rewatch them. It's going to be great. So I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm keeping an open mind, you know? Like, yeah. I say, you've made it to the end of the video! Congrats! No, but seriously, thanks a bunch for watching. And just now, I'll be extending a special thanks to the patrons in the $10 tier, who are Adam Mize, Ken K, Legendary Ray Ray, Mr. SP, Sergio, That Jordo, and Where's Arnold? What an amazing and generous bunch of people. Thank you guys so much for your support. And if you want to join the ranks of these amazing people right here, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Guys, these are not the easiest times in the world financially, so every little bit you folks are donating is doing wonders. I really would love to be able to do YouTube as a proper fully fledged career someday. It might just be a pipe dream, but maybe you guys can prove some people wrong. But of course, if donations aren't your anything, then, well, it means plenty to me that you just hit that cute little subscribe button over there. I didn't mean hit that way. Well, that's me done for the day. Thanks a whole bunch for your support, and have a fantastic day. I'm gonna see you so soon.